Well, they have done it again. For the third match in a row, the Reggae Boyz left it until dying moments to rescue a result, this time against Canada. Yeah, people, welcome back to Jamaica Fan. We are looking back at the entertaining match between Jamaica U20s versus Canada. And you should know the script by now. We're beginning with the starting lineup. Coming into this match, Rodolph Austin made 3 changes from the team against Panama. Out went Kimberly Scott, Berger and Shea Garner. Coming into the starting 11 were Campbell Dennett, Jamone Lyle and Owen Jump, a move that looked designed to give Jamaica a little more protection in midfield while still keeping plenty of pace in the attack. And right from kickoff, both teams looked ready to play, the tempo was high, the passing was quick, and neither side wanted to sit back. Jamaica created the first real opportunity when Jahmani cut inside onto his left foot and forced Abraham in goal into an early save with a curling effort. But then something interesting happened around the 10th minute mark. Whether it was simply the Mexican heat taking its toll or both coaches deciding to conserve some energy, the pace slowed noticeably. Canada in particular seemed surprisingly happy to allow Jamaica back forward to a possession a fair distance away from their box, as they were very little pressing high up the pitch. Instead of forcing mistakes, they allowed both Headley and Brown to plenty of time on the ball. And Jamaica recognized it almost immediately. Rather than patiently building through midfield, they started looking long. Very long. Time after time, the Reggae Boyz tried to release their pacey attackers with diagonal passes from deep, and most of them didn't quite come off, but then come one that was absolutely world class. In the 21st minute, Santana Headley produced an incredible 60-yard diagonal that completely split Canada's defense apart, bent time his run perfectly down the left-hand side before looking up and picking out Nolan inside the penalty area. One simple finish later and Jamaica led 1-0. It was probably the best team goal I've seen for the Jamaicans all tournament, and from that moment, you could see the confidence in the team growing. The passing became sharper, the movement improved, and Canada suddenly looked uncomfortable. In fact, Jamaica really should have doubled the lead. Jamone Lyle produced a brilliant piece of skill to beat his defender, but dragged his shot just inches wide. Then just moments later, Jahmani found himself in another excellent scoring position, only to guide his effort too close to Abraham. Those were massive, and I mean massive missed opportunities, because from there, Canada slowly began to work themselves back into the contest. As halftime approached, the Canadians finally started asking some serious questions. Joshua Grant answered every single one of them luckily. Twice the Jamaican goalkeeper came up with excellent saves to preserve the lead, ensuring Jamaica went into the halftime break with a deserved but very fragile 1-0 advantage. The second half brought an interesting decision from Rodolph Austin. With one eye perhaps already on Wednesday's quarterfinal, he introduced Jared Taylor and Kai McLean while withdrawing Nolan and the yellow-carded Brown. Now, protecting players is understandable, but was it a bit too early? That's something we will come back to later. Unfortunately for McLean, his first involvement nearly turned into a disaster. The young Inter Miami defender misplaced a pass straight to Canada, leaving them through on a 1v1. Thankfully, Joshua Grant was equal to it, an outstanding block, one that kept Jamaica in front. But only briefly, mere moments later, Canada began dominating possession around Jamaica's penalty area. Eventually, they worked enough space for a shot, which unfortunately took a wicked deflection off Owen Jump. Grant was completely wrong-footed, nothing he could do, and just like that, it's 1-1. To Jamaica's credit, they didn't fold, they responded almost immediately. Jared Taylor almost restored the lead but was denied by another excellent save from Abraham. Then Jamari Bell reminded everyone just how dangerous he can be. He danced his way through the Canadian defense with a brilliant individual run before Blazes' effort just wide. Again, another huge opportunity gone begging. Then came what many expected. Canada head coach Jesse March started introducing several of his regular starters, and the momentum completely shifted. The Canadians became the dominant side, they controlled possession, they forced Jamaica deeper, and once again Joshua Grant had to produce a few saves to keep Reggae Boyz alive. Eventually though, Canada got their reward. Substitute Kimberly Scott was penalized for a handball inside the box. Personally, I thought it was extremely unfortunate. His arm was wildly outstretched, yes, but that's after jumping and his back was completely towards the play. But under today's interpretation of the handball law, we have seen those given. Canada made no mistake from the penalty spot to now make Jamaica trail 2-1. But this team simply refuses to quit. Once again, Santana Headley showed just how valuable that passing range is. Another beautiful diagonal ball from Kimberly Scott racing through on goal after he outmuscled his defender. Unfortunately, the Cavalier striker couldn't convert another goaling opportunity. At that stage, Jamaica became almost too desperate. Long ball after long ball after long ball was floated into the Canada side at the half. Most of them were inaccurate, most of them were comfortably dealt with, but Jamaica at least kept up the pressure and forced some set pieces. And eventually, one of those set pieces changed everything. The loose ball dropped kindly for Owen Jump. He got his shot away. He was blocked. The play continued. Then VAR stepped in. The referee was sent to the morning to review a possible handball. And no, honestly, I thought this decision was just as harsh as the first one. The Canadian defender's arm looked fairly tucked into his body, but after almost 6 minutes of watching replay after replay, the referee pointed to the spot. Jamaica now had one final opportunity. Sean Leighton will be the man to step up. No panic, no hesitation, just complete composure, and he calmly slotted the penalty home. 2-2, and that makes for another dramatic late comeback, another massive point, and another reminder that this Jamaica team simply doesn't know when it's beaten. So with that, the two teams ended the group stage exactly where they were before the start of the match. As for my final thoughts, overall I actually think this was Jamaica's best attacking display of the tournament. The confidence on the ball was much better, the movement was more fluid, and they created enough chances to beat one of the strongest teams in the competition. But that's also where the frustration lies. This game should never reach the stage where Jamaica needed another stoppage-time equalizer. The missed chances from Lyle, Bell, Taylor and Scott almost proved incredibly costly. Defensively, there are still issues dealing with that direct ball, as well as the sustained spell of pressure. And while I personally felt both handball penalties were extremely harsh, even if they technically fit the current interpretation of the laws, they still became defining moments in the match. I also think one of the biggest talking points will be Rodolph Austin's substitutions. Was he right to protect Nolan and Brown with Wendy's quarterfinal in mind, or did he gamble a little too early? Remember, had Jamaica lost this game, they could have easily found themselves facing either the United States or Mexico instead. As for the individual performances, Joshua Grant was absolutely outstanding. Without him, Jamaica probably loses this match comfortably. Santana Headley was fairly good, and those diagonal passes have become one of Jamaica's biggest attacking weapons. Jamone Lyle wasn't quite as explosive as he was against Panama, but he still had some really bright moments. Jahmani Bell looked dangerous throughout the entire match and probably deserved a goal for his overall performance. Now, everything comes down to Wednesday. Jamaica and Canada look set to face each other again in the quarterfinal. Only this time, there's no second chances. Win and you're going to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Lose and the dream is over. If this group stage meeting is anything to go by, we could be in for another absolute thriller. But what do you think? Should Rodolph Austin have kept Nolan and Brown on the field a little bit longer? Who was your Jamaica player of the match? And are you confident the Reggae Boyz could beat Canada when it matters most? Let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on the young Reggae Boyz journey to hopefully another World Cup. Otherwise, for great Reggae Boyz content, you're already at the right place, Jamaica fan. YouTube, big up yourself.